palmetto thicket. And what looks like the entrance of a cave. Is that somebody's home?
Right.
I don't do that. I just use my cameras. I have no weapons with me. I'm not armed. I'm completely unarmed out there. Some people say that that's crazy. Because there's not just Bigfoot that's out there. There's coyotes and bears and bobcats, and there's the Florida panther, and there's things that could hurt you, could kill you. There's hogs.
Yeah, big hogs are probably the most, and bear.
Right. Occasionally I do bring my baseball bat when I'm going to do tree knocking. I guess that would be a weapon.
Yeah.
Bounce right off a hog's head. But that's the extent of it.
Well, what in your view is your mission? I mean, what is the ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal, most people would probably say, who do this, I want to get a clear high definition video. Or I want to get a good clear photograph. Which you guys being in the production business know that, well, I guess video can be fake too, but with Photoshop you can make anything look like the real thing. Video is a little harder to fool around with, but with software that clearly can be done. But if it was convincing enough to where people would look at it and go, this cannot be faked, this could not be a suit. There is a famous film called the Patterson film, which is considered the holy grail of Bigfoot. Shot in 1967. I mentioned it in the opening. 1967 by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin. And there was a movie, a documentary done about several Bigfoot researchers. But during this documentary, they showed that film to a man named Stan Winston. And Stan Winston is Spielberg's chief special effects guy.
Yeah.
So they asked him, could you take a look at the Patterson film? He had never heard of it. And I think this was pretty interesting. He sat down at a TV monitor and they played the film. 3 seconds into it, he says, that's a guy in a suit.
Really? Right away?
Right away. That's a man in a suit. And this documentary was done by the BBC. And I don't remember whether Winston helped them try to recreate it, but they attempted to recreate it with their big budget and with a special effects suit and with cameras and whatever. They failed miserably. The guy in the suit looked awkward. He looked a good 300, 400 pounds lighter than the Patterson film guy. So I think even though Winston may be correct, the fact that even to this day no one can reproduce that film, duplicate it, means that there's a strong possibility that they may have filmed something that day. So I'm not a big believer in the Patterson film, but I'm leaning more towards it being real than it being fake. Because how do two guys that are basically broke California cowboys pull off such a high-tech type of a hoax that 40 years later, with computer software and digital enhancement, details are being brought out in the film that are amazing, like hair growing out of the face. The fact that the animal had mammary glands. These would be details that two hoaxers who were looking for a quick buck wouldn't fool with. Why would you? We're going to sell some stills to a magazine and make $900. Screw it. Now the guy put the suit on and walk and we'll do it. Right. But anyway, I forgot what the question was.
Well, definitive proof. What?
But beyond that, as I stated earlier about, is this something that's going on in man's mind, or is this really something in the physical terrain? This is what I want to know. For centuries, the Native American Indians in the South have told stories about a large, hairy man that lives in the swamps and the pine forest. And with the continuous amount of sighting reports And with newly discovered evidence, like your footprints that you found, and the prints that I have found, and what others have come across, it tells me that this may be more than just folklore. But a skeptic would say, well, hasn't science classified every animal on Earth? What are you talking about? Well, Michael Crichton, in his preface to Jurassic Park, said that it was only man and his arrogance that believed he could control and understand the forces of nature in its totality. That there are contingency factors that we're completely unaware of. Hence he had the metaphor of the dinosaur experiment that went crazy because man was ignorant to what the potential of that could be. So the point I'm making is that we have only had the scientific tools necessary in the last century to even begin to understand the cosmic forces that have created this universe, created this earth that we live in. And it's not all that you can see. I like to say you have the seen and the unseen, the worldly and the otherworldly, the enigmatic and the anomalous, which science cannot explain. So, philosophy, I said I majored in philosophy. There was a great philosopher, Immanuel Kant, who wrote a book on the critique of pure reason, where he believed that there was a limit to what reason could teach us as far as the things that we would need to know to be human, which would be the metaphysical, or the great questions such as, do we have eternal life? That's a metaphysical question. We could discuss that for 1,000 years and never get closer to an answer or a resolution. And so there are things that transcend experience, that science is the wrong avenue to pursue to acquire the answer. Even though I've got to admit, this little ghost gadget is pretty damn cool, and if it's using science to find ghosts, then I say, well, let's go with it. I would say that if we found a Bigfoot or a skunk ape, that it could validate our very existence, that it could create a new paradigm that would more accurately define just what it means to be human and what makes us so unique. And that's pretty much how I can answer that question.